Having embraced his destiny as leader of the Autobots, Optimus Prime leads a small band of Autobots to save the core of Cybertron itself from the clutches of Megatron. But to do so, they must first rescue the mightiest Autobot guardian ever created, Omega Supreme.
Warpath! Slow down! What's wrong, Ironhide? Too rusty to keep up? Great! The Decepticons are locking down! I can bring this kid, Optimus.
You're about to find out.
KA-BLAM! Yeah! Now that's an entrance!
Dial it down a notch, kid.
I've only got one setting, old-timer! KA-BLAM!
We're a team. Let's focus on finding Omega Supreme.
Hello Autobots and Decepticons, KA-BLAM! My name is Somungi and I'd like to welcome you guys back to some more Transformers Warpath Cybertron campaign. This time, it's Warpath time.
Omega Supreme, what have they done to you?
They're torturing the poor fella.
Roger, this is Autobot. We've located Omega Supreme. Can you access the terminal here remotely and find a way to free him?
Negative, Optimus. The system is too well protected to hack. But if you can find a way to weaken their power grid, I might be able to get in.
Alright, so there you saw Omega Supreme, but I really like the dialogue between Warpath and Ironhide in this particular level. It cracks me up. I think it is just great. Kind of like the old warrior meets the new guy, the new gun. So Warpath, if you don't know how this works, I will be talking about the character that I'm playing as, G1 history. No other history is involved unless I do mention it. So we will be talking about Warpath, G1 history, and I'm excited. He is an explosive character, KA-BLAM, and he loves talking. So we will start up in just a moment.
The whole facility's in lockdown mode. Guess they know you're there, huh?
Wonder how that.
I'll punch up a holomap. There. First thing you need to do is hack the main security console. That'll cancel the lockdown.
Sure thing, old-timer! Just tell me when the pro shows up!
Falling down.
Keep dreaming, Grandpa! I'm too up on you!
Alright, let's get into it. G1 Warpath. And as you guys can tell, he's a tank, he's a commander. He's very loud, confident, rather cocky, and he's pretty skilled, but he is devoted to the Autobots. And it says here in his information that he's probably half deaf, or a little deaf. So I don't know where they get that from. Maybe he just ignores people and just blasts them away. And since he is a tank, he has very awesome armor, so it's very hard to take him down. And he's got that big tank gun sticking out of him, and he loves loading that thing up with different ammunition. He uses all sorts of stuff, from acid to thermal to sonic, you name it, he'll do it. He is not afraid to experiment in war. And as you guys can tell from the start of the video, his favorite are the ones that explode so he can say KA-BLAM. And who doesn't want to say KA-BLAM? I want to walk around and say KA-BLAM all day long. And it doesn't really matter which form he's in, tank or robot form. His gun is going to be a beast, and he's going to save lots of lives. I'm happy he is on the Autobot side. And as you guys can tell, he does have quite a bit of ego, so he does like to keep his paint job clean. If he gets scratches on his gun, it will make him stay up late at night until he is able to polish it away. So if you ever want to get at Warpath, just scratch up his weapons a little bit and he will be away from the battle for a while until he gets it sparkly clean. So Warpath, a pretty awesome character, really knows how to get down and dirty and has fun doing it, and he's pretty darn explosive. KA-BLAM! And I just love saying that. KA-BLAM, KA-BLAM, KA-BLAM! Alright, I'm done. I'm sorry. KA-BLAM! Alright, now for real. Alright, let's move on here to his G1 cartoon. And he's a pretty crazy looking character in G1. He's got this huge gun that sticks out the front of him. And then, of course, that is his tank cannon. But I guess where else would that cannon go? Unless it were to go straight up behind your head or something like that. But anyways, it's easy aiming for him because you can use it in either forms. And although it looks kind of strange, it's easy access like I just said. So let's get into it. Let's talk about his story a little bit. There's not a lot on Warpath, so I will kind of go over what I thought was kind of the cooler parts of Warpath, and then we will see where we are at the end of this episode, because the episode, it's kind of longer, I guess, but there's not a ton on Warpath. So let's get to it. So Warpath first appeared for no reason at all when Megatron created a remote-controlled duplicate of Optimus Prime to lead the Autobots into destruction.
Alert! Alert! Omega Restraint 2 is now offline. Prisoner designate Omega Supreme is unsecured.
Systems powering up.
Defend Omega Supreme while he recovers.
So that was when he first made his appearance. He then made the trip to Dinobot Island with Optimus Prime when he first showed off his combat and his crazy speech. And the Autobots, although I don't know if they seem to like it or not, but they do tolerate how he talks. And he also had his first couple battles with the Decepticon triple changer tank, Blitzwing. Alright, I want to just quickly touch on the triple changers so that you guys know who they are. On the Decepticon side, we got Astrotrain, Blitzwing, and Octane. And on the Autobot side, it's Broadside, Sandstorm, and Springer.
Optimus Prime identified. Omega Supreme. Grateful.
We're glad you're free, Omega Supreme. Need you to open the Omega Gate immediately.
Systems weak.
Ratchet, do you copy? I need you here. Double time. I'm on my way, Optimus, but it'll take me a few cycles to reach you.
Alert. Inbound Decepticons. Defensive perimeter advisable.
Now you're speaking my language, Ironhide!
I'm thrilled.
You heard him, Autobots. Get these defenses online.
Enter, John. We can restore ourselves here.
And being a triple changer means just that. You have two alternate vehicle modes that you can change into. Most likely, you're going to be able to change into something on land and also something on air. So I just mentioned Blitzwing. I thought it would be cool to kind of touch on him real quick. He's very loud and obnoxious, so it makes for a good battle between him and Warpath. He considers himself pretty funny, which also makes for a good battle against Warpath.
Keep those Decepticons off me while I patch him up, would you?
Omega Gate sequence initiating.
And he is very offensive, loud, and he's cruel, and he even makes the Decepticons feel uneasy. And although he's part of the Decepticons, he's more of an outsider due to his lack of social skills, I guess. Or maybe they just don't want him around. So Blitzwing, triple changer, pretty cool character as well. I don't want to touch on him too much. Let's get back to Warpath. So moving down the timeline, he was in a battle with the Constructicons that he helped out, but he got knocked away by Devastator. And then the Autobots all together defeated Devastator, and then Warpath helped find his two comrades, which were Grapple and Hoist. So there's going to be quite a bit of missions like this where he's kind of just on the side laying down fire and also using his words to help out the Autobots. So a while back in a couple episodes I talked about the Autobots having to leave Earth for a little bit, and Warpath, he was on a team that was defending this fake solar plan in Central City against the Decepticons. He, Ironhide, and Smokescreen fired on Starscream in an attempt to prevent the Decepticons from taking off, but they found themselves under fire from thrust. And after Megatron framed the Autobots, Warpath was among those who were captured by the human forces. And I know I mentioned this more in depth in a different episode. I can't remember which one now offhand, but then the Autobots were then put on a shuttle to leave Earth. And we all know, as I mentioned before, they did return.
That is, we
Alright, so on another battle down the road, Warpath was with Perceptor and Beachcomber on a geological expedition. And I'm sure most of you guys haven't heard of Beachcomber, and he's basically just like kind of like a geologist of the Autobots. And what he does is he kind of finds things in the sand. No, I'm kidding. But he does have a lot of good geological tools. I'm not going to get into him at all. But Warpath, he of course got into some action again with Blitzwing and the Coneheads. Now what am I talking about? The Coneheads. And you guys probably saw that movie. But the Coneheads are just a term that are referred to Thrust, Dirge, and Ramjet, the Seekers with the cones on top of their heads. And so he seems to be getting into it with Blitzwing a lot. And they had a surprise attack on them. So Blitzwing and Warpath went at it in a tank war. And after a while of blasting at each other, they noticed that they were burying each other in sand. So I'm guessing they were each just missing badly. And eventually they just got buried in sand. So that makes me wonder, are Warpath and Blitzwing just buddies wanting to make sandcastles? I don't know. Or are they just loving the warmth of the sand all around them? And as this battle was going on through the thick sand, Thrust managed to find this pool of Electrum, and it made him invincible. So he kind of turned the tide, and this was one of the first times that Warpath had to turn around and retreat and get away from them because of Thrust. Next in his timeline is kind of a weird story. So I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to kind of sum it up. I'm not going to go into really in depth, but Warpath just happened to be walking into a movie theater or a studio one day, and he was hired, and he was allowed to be in a movie, and this movie was called Attack of the Alien Robots. And Warpath was very excited to blow some stuff up in the movie, but he was really confused by how unreal the special effects were, and he didn't really enjoy working on the movie. So his days of being a movie star were over, and he went back to blowing stuff up as an Autobot. Alright, so moving down his timeline a little bit, and then we're going to be jumping way in front of this timeline. Trax and Warpath were assigned to take down some Decepticons to find out the reasoning behind these thefts that they were doing. And the Decepticons that he had to take down were Drakestrip and Dead End. And they were fighting again on a beach. I don't know how he gets himself into beaches all the time. He must like the sun. And Warpath owned Dragstrip with a bunch of explosive shots at him. And then Dead End got blinded and he was unable to see. And he drove right into Warpath, who sent him flying with one single punch, which was pretty awesome, showing Warpath's power. So moving way down the timeline, Warpath later then becomes the commander, and he is part of a team that commands the Ark. He does fight Trypticon once, but to no success.
What's your status?
I've got Omega's primary capacitors restored, but I still need more time.
Keep working, Ratchet, but be aware. It looks as though the next one is coming from the sky.
And really the last time we hear from Warpath, he was stationed at Metroplex, and Scourge and Starscream's ghost came to steal the Citybot's eye for Unicron. And being a tank, he missed out on most of the action. So Warpath, pretty explosive, pretty cocky, but yet smart, knows when to back down, and also knows when to stick in a fight and help his fellow Autobots. So he's a pretty sweet character, a very fun one to listen to. And that pretty much wraps it up for his G1 history. Like I was saying earlier, there wasn't too much G1 history on Warpath. And there will be more on Ironhide, which is coming up next. And I kind of think that Warpath is kind of Ironhide's apprentice, even though they kind of have a weird way of showing it. So I got quite a bit of time left in this episode. This seemed to happen with Sideswipe as well, where I had a lot of time left over, but there just isn't too much information on Warpath nor Sideswipe. So I guess I can talk about the gameplay a little bit. I'm not the biggest fan of these levels right here. They seem kind of tedious to me, and there's really not the variety that I'm looking for. I guess that's what they were kind of going for in Fall of Cybertron, now that we know that they're really stressing the variety. But I think Warpath, he's a sweet character. He's especially fun to be in Dark of the Moon because he is just a beast in that game. He is pretty high in damage and also deals a lot with his crazy machine guns. His tank's a little bit harder to drive, but I would imagine that tanks are pretty hard to drive in real life. So as we blast Decepticons, I'd like to ask you guys for suggestions on what I should also touch on when this does happen, when I am having more time than needed to explain the character. And it's kind of weird direction that the studios or Hasbro takes in these games by picking some of the characters that aren't as well known in G1 as some other characters where they could pick and have tons and tons of history. Maybe they want to show some more backstory on these guys and really bring them to the front because they think they're pretty cool. And Warpath, he's a sweet character, and the Autobots need somebody like that on their side to blast those evil Decepticons. So I guess I could just fill up the rest of this episode with KA-BLAM and POW and BOOM and things that Warpath would say in honor of Warpath. Ooh, cutscene. Hold on.
Omega Gate sequence complete. For entrance available.
I can't work when I'm getting shot at.
What a defender can do!
Autobots, Omega is nearly battle ready. Hold that destroyer off just a little longer.
You heard him. Dig in.
Alright, so we have a tank. These things are easy when you go around and shoot them from behind, but I am playing on easy also, so it makes it a lot less stressful fighting these tanks, especially if you have multiple of them, and it's no escalation on pulse. I will tell you that right now. That is pretty difficult the first two waves. And there we got the shockwave on Warpath. I don't really know about that ability for him. I don't know if they could have did something better for Warpath. Maybe like an Omega missile would have been cool for the campaign, since he is known to have lots of different weapons, lots of different explosions. So that would have been pretty sweet. And so this tank, we're going to get a little help from our big brother here in a second, and he's going to help us finish this guy off.
3. Omega smash.
Optimus, I'll need to complete Omega's repairs at headquarters.
Thanks, Ratchet. We'll continue to the core without you.
That was pretty cool. He's got the old vacuum effect on here. Here, the top half of your body is dirty. Let me clean it for you.
Told me about the corruptive properties of Dark Energon. The closer we get to the core, the more dangerous and unstable Cybertron may appear.
So this part coming up, it's pretty cool.
The core rests at the very center of Cybertron. We'll have to jump this to continue.
Yeah! I'm ready! Of course you are. Let's get it over with.
As I keep getting cut off by these guys, but it's a long fall, and I forgot my parachute. And being an Autobot or Decepticons, making these huge leaps is always pretty scary. Probably not for them, though, because they're just metal and they land pretty easily.
Optimus, this growth is really unstable. What are those things? What's the matter, kid? You never seen a space slug before?
They're a part of Cybertron's natural defenses. They'll eat away at the Dark Energon's corruption.
The corruption sealed us in! We're stuck!
Let me give it a try.
Just imagine the trail of slime those things leave. That would be the grossest thing ever to walk behind, or to be stuck in traffic behind. That'd be pretty funny. I like those slugs though, they are hilarious. And epic fail.
Now we're stuck and stuck! That stuff is tough!
My axe can't cut through this much corruption. For now, we have other matters to deal with.
So here we are in another battle, kind of like the same thing over and over. We just got done with this sort of battle. This is what I'm talking about with kind of the lack of variety, but Can't wait for Fall Cybertron. That should be awesome. And I'm pushing my fellow Autobots out the way. It's like, get out of here. And the campaign players, they don't help you too often, but at least they don't die. So, not bad. And I use a frag launcher right here in the campaign because it's easy and you can pretty much reach any spot with it. And that guy just got owned mid-air style, so that was pretty cool. And I haven't really utilized his tank cannon so much in this episode, but it is amazing. You can really blast them away if you want to, especially in multiplayer. If you're using any tank, it doesn't have to be Warpath, and you can really end your enemies' lives quickly. So there, they got like an epic cutscene for the guy with overshield. So he's coming down, but he is no problem for Warpath. He takes front center to every battle. He is not afraid to stick his nose in, as you guys can see. And even with overshields, they don't stand a chance. So coming up here is one of my more favorite sequences in this game. I think this is hilarious right here.
Weep, ninny bomb. What was that? That's the universal greeting. I don't think it worked.
We have nothing to fear, Autobots. The Slugs will count us as friends.
Oh yeah, so now that the Slug has ate his dinner, he is ready to ride dirty. We're riding dirty. Warpath riding dirty. Boom, KA-BLAM, KA-BLAM. Oh yeah, awesome ride. I'm riding on the Slug today. Yeah, it is just an epic journey. Me and my best friend, the Slug and Warpath BFFs. Alright, I am going to go wherever my Slug goes. Forever. Don't leave me, Slug. No. No, we were meant to be together. No. Aww. Alright guys, I apologize for that outburst, but like Warpath, I sometimes make outbursts as well, so I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Remember to leave a comment, leave a rating, and subscribe for more Transformers. Have a nice day, everyone.